Hey everybody! So I wanted to make this quick little video as sort of a demonstration for those who've never experienced or been involved in sampling before. I don't pretend to be the foremost expert on all the things that you can do with sampling these days, but this is how I've used it in the past and I really enjoy it. Now, right now I have GarageBand out. These days I use a program by PreSonus called Studio One. I can actually get that up for you. Check this out. Ta-da! So this is what I use for my current recordings and sampling and sequencing and all that good stuff, you know. So it's got a lot more power and I can use it with my recording projects. But I have GarageBand out now because that is what I used when I created my album Simplicity. A little backstory: Simplicity was created for somebody who was looking for some background music for a bingo app he was developing, and he just let me have free reign over what I wanted to do, asked me to just create 15 tracks of background music, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was something I did over a summer. But anyway, so one of my favorite tracks from that project I called it So Good, and I thought it was a great way to show you how I do a real simple, throw it together kind of electronic sampling project. So check this out. So what I did for this particular project, especially because I was very short on time, there was no budget whatsoever, what I did is I started with a list of loops and background ambient tracks that were royalty free, that I'd be allowed to use, and just found ones that felt right, you know. This particular one, Dream Curtain, I got from Looperman, which is a great online sample library you can go to for royalty-free samples. Dream Curtain sounds like this. Pretty groovy, right? But it just goes on and on like that for several bars. It has this point, as you can see here, with this waveform where it kind of slows us down a little bit. And then it kicks back up. Now, if you notice here, what I decided to do, let's see, at bar 57 right here, I'll just get this out of the way. Notice that this track actually goes for a little bit longer. This is toward the end of the track. But what happened was, as I was putting this together, I found it ended too soon for my liking. So I cut up another copy of it to add on just a little more time to the end. And of course, I didn't know I was going to do that ahead of time. I was creating it as I went along. It's like putting together pieces of a puzzle and just watching it unfold. So what happened is I figured out what my beat, my tempo was. This was about 100, and what tonality I was in. Felt like I was in G minor at about 100 per quarter note for the beat. And then I'm like, well, okay, let's create a bass line that'll go with it. And this bass line was found right here in GarageBand's native library. So yeah, So I would just look up bass, or you could go by instrument, genre, and I heard, you know, here's Twilight bass. And I was like, dude, I love it, love it, love it. So here's this. And so I would listen to it with Dream Curtain right here. Pretty cool, right? Now, here's where some basic song form and layering notions come in handy. So I didn't want to start the bass off immediately. You know, I wanted to create this sort of intro where the Dream Curtain just revealed itself. So, and I'm going to bring in the Twilight bass a little bit later. Then, of course, you need like the drop. And I wanted to put in a drummer. Now, I love GarageBand's Smart Drummer. This is super cool. What it does is you can pick your drummer that these patterns and sounds are based on, what kind of drum kit you have. Let's see if I can click on this to get more info. Check this out. So here are beat presets, certain beat kinds you can do. Let's see. So for this, I had sign language, with leaning more toward complex and loud. I had lots of toms, lots of kick and snare. The fills are at, you know, almost half. So it's very, very adjustable. And you can change, now check this out. So in the very opening of the drum set, I bring in the toms and the kick and snare. Then as it gets full on in, I kick in the cymbals. Some songs, some tracks, I actually change the different, I go between like one pattern for like a verse and then a different pattern for a chorus, things like that. But this one stayed pretty much the same. Now see here, as we're fading away, I start taking away the instruments and just look toward the hi-hat. Here, it changes here. I went from sign language to collision course. And then at the very end, it just like faded it out. So let's see what this sounds like with just the bass and the drummer and the background. Let's kick it up right about here. Now notice I left the bass empty because I wanted a build, and there it is. Pretty cool, right? Now, what would this build-up be without a synth swell? So listen to this with just this added to it. In fact, let's just listen to the swell for a second so you can hear what it sounds like. Pretty cool, right? A little effect. And again, that's just in GarageBand's native library. So check this out with all that together. Very effective, right? And then, so then I'm like, well, okay, we need something. We need a melody of some kind. We've got the harmonies, we've got the bass line, we've got the beat, we've got a little bit of special effects there to add tension. So how about this piano? And again, this was just something in GarageBand's native library. So let's listen to this piano part real quick. Very cool, right? And that's all that is. Yeah, I just used it a couple times. Notice here in the very beginning, the Dream Curtain starts out, Twilight bass comes in with the swell and the drums coming in, and it leads to just the piano and the background. And then later on, I add in the bass, and with the bass, I add the piano back again. So with all these layers, I'm creating texture and direction. So listen to what this sounds like. All right, so we've got an awesome texture, an awesome build-up. Now we need the icing on the cake, and this is something I found on Looperman, I believe, a female vox and a male vox. Check this out. So here is the female voice. So let's check out, okay, this is bar 21. Let's take a look at what the original loop sounded like. Here's the entire original female voice part. So that's the original track. And what I did is I just took that and chopped it up and found places where it matched up with the rhythm and the bass and everything else. So let's see how the female part goes with everything. And of course, what would it be without her counterpart, the male vocals? All right, so then there came this break, and I'm like, what are we gonna add with that? And I found these piano stabs in GarageBand, so let's see what this sounds like. And that's all it is. It just repeats over and over again. And let's put this all together. This is all this is. Just these, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tracks. In the grand scheme of things, this is nothing. This was a very simple piece, but was it's loads of fun. So let's put this together here, just to after the break. See, toward the end, I brought that little piano melody harmonic thing back in. So see, so basically for my quote unquote verse, I had the male voice coming in, and then I guess what you could call the chorus, the female voice answered with the piano stabs. And as you can see, the male and female voice are in duet and in canon, going back and forth between each other. Notice how I staggered these tracks so they can do this, and then I lined them up so that they can sing in harmony. And then they stagger, and then they're lined up in harmony. Meanwhile, I switch between the piano effects. So I have the piano stabs here, and then as it builds, I add the piano sort of melodic thing, and then I have everything all together toward the end. So check this out as we're building out. See, it just fades out. So as it peters out, I start chopping these pieces up a little bit. You can see that right here with this piano stabs, with the little piano melody, and then we just finish off with this little good at the end. So again, this is, in the grand scheme of things, a very simple track that I sampled together and threw together. But hopefully it shows you just the bare bone basics of what digital sampling is these days, what you can do with even more powerful machines, with the ability to record your original samples as well as mix with preset samples. You can get it plug-in libraries, etc. With all of that, there are so many options available for piecing together your very own track. So I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration and have gotten a better idea of what sampling is all about. Catch you later.